This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Bell, the CEO of Red Rock Resources, joins us today following an interim update from the company's DRC project where they are exploring for copper and cobalt. Andrew, thank you very much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm very well.
Good to hear. So thank you very much for your time. Now, the company has completed an extensive reverse circulation drilling program of 29 holes, which has resulted in nearly 3,000 samples for assay testing. So can I ask you first, what was the objective of this program and how has it gone?
Well, the objective of any drill program is to take an asset towards the point at which it can be a mine. And that goes in steps. And we wouldn't be there at all unless we thought there was an asset could be brought up to a mine. And that has to be proved at different stages. At this stage is just taking the step from near surface exploration to drilling down the top 100 meters or so, seeing what's there and what that indicates about what's below. And so the objective was to go where we had anomalies and to drill deeper and see what results we got.
Okay, and how did the program go then, Andrew? Was it successful in its objective?
Entirely successful. We found ourselves going through heterogenite, which is a cobalt mineral, in most of the holes. And as I say, we're drilling more or less a grid, 29 holes. And then with the earlier holes, we were getting into very hard rock at the bottom of the holes, and with some indication of sulfide. And in the last few holes, which sadly are the ones we're still waiting to get the results back from the laboratory for, we were hitting that kind of rock higher up and going through and actually encountering pyrite and chalcopyrite, which was beginning to be exciting because that sequence of sulfides is what we would hope to be finding if this were a proper copper sulfide deposit.
Okay. Now, the RNS mentioned that you have received most of the assay results back. You're still waiting for the remaining ones. Do you get any early indication then at this stage?
Yeah, we get early indications, but it's sporadic. But to get the whole picture, to piece it together, we need to get those results from the last few holes. They'll make a big difference. It's just the way it worked out. It could have been the first few holes, in which case we'd have it already. We might say, well, we've got the results from 15 holes or 20 holes. And that's enough for us to come up with some conclusions. But because some of the confirmation and some of the deeper drilling happened to be on the later holes, we just have to wait for that to come back from the laboratory. Okay. But what we can say is that we appear to have found everything we were hoping for. Now, of course, grade is a different matter. And although we did some XRF before we set things off, getting results back from the laboratory is important, and that's what we're going to wait for.
Okay. Now, the RNS also mentioned this lower Rowan assemblage. Can you just explain what that is for us?
Well, the Rowan this was the first of a series of rifting events that began in this part of Africa between two plates some 800 million plus years ago, and so laid down a series of sedimentary sequences. And it's these in Congo and Zambia in which copper deposits are found, typically. So this is not the only environment in those countries in which copper is found, not the only sequence, but it is the best known one.
Okay, now the RNS, of course, also mentioned that the limited penetration of the drill holes means that the sulfide-bearing strata in many holes was not reached, but that, as you said, was not part of the objective.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can overplay that limited penetration, because put like that, it may sound as if, oh dear, it didn't go as well as we expected, or it didn't work well. That's not so. This is meant to be an explanation for why the objective was primarily to test what was in the oxide layers above and below the water table and any supergene enrichment around there, because that gives an indication as to what's below in the rock that is less oxidized. But if we wanted to put in diamond drill holes, we would have done, but then we wouldn't have, for the same money, been able to put in so many, and therefore we might have missed things. Instead, we got a good picture across the whole area, and we got indications of where we can put in deeper holes with the most bang for our buck. So this was a stage in the exploration process, absolutely as planned and as intended. The results in line with what we planned, and in terms of whether the results were getting good or bad, very much on the good side. And we'll wait to say more until we've got the sample results back.
Okay. So just thinking about that stage in the exploration timeline then, what is the next stage? Are you waiting for the remaining assay results and then you can interpret that data? And what will you be looking to create here when you have all this? What comes next? Where are you on the exploration timeline?
Well, the most important thing, I think, at this stage is to get an understanding of structure. Now, of course, ultimately, your understanding of structure comes as well from the actual drilling, from diamond drilling, where you can get oriented core. But in order to decide where to do your drilling, your diamond drilling, you want to have some understanding of structure. You want to have some idea of how the mineralization is lying, how it perhaps got there, which are the important sort of features that have controlled or constrained it, or conducted it to where it is. And once you have that, you know how to test the hypothesis by bringing one or two drill holes. So what we're going to do is absorb all these results, see how it fits into the structure that we think we have, do some interpretation internally, look at it in 3D, and decide exactly where to put in diamond drill holes. Because we're aware that when we drill, we're using money, we're using shareholders' money, in fact, and we don't want to waste any of that by just going gung-ho. And I would think that any time you spend in preparation before drilling is always worth it.
Okay, so would Red Rock Resources be having a fairly active final quarter of 2021 in terms of exploration?
Very.
Okay, well, Andrew Bell, the CEO of Red Rock Resources, thank you very much for your time.
That's all right.
Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.